Talkopolis programming is sponsored in part by the Vane Center, now celebrating 10 years service in Nashville, Tennessee.
Hi guys, welcome to Serious Startups, where we explore the nuts and bolts of successful entrepreneurship. And we are joined by our wonderful panel today, Monica Selby, and we're so thankful to have John back. Well, welcome back, mate.
It's good to be back.
Ledge is out. I guess he's super busy at the moment, which we all have been lately, which has been fantastic for us and fantastic for some of our stories, which we'll talk about. I feel like Nashville's got a bit of a buzz around it at the moment. I know I'm particularly busy with a few different things, but you guys are too. And we're going to talk about the Music Accelerator coming up. But I just wanted to talk about the Nashville buzz because when you're in the music industry, generally this is when you start to calm down, really. Like from now until, you know, midwinter or after, it just flattens out. But we're going to talk about this accelerator that the EC have at the moment. Accelerator is a buzzword and all these different things. But they've decided to carve their accelerators into little pieces, I guess. And one of them is the Music Accelerator. Do you want to have a chat about it, John?
Well, it's ironic the Music City is going to do a music...
finally.
Music Accelerator. I'm actually pretty interested to see what ends up coming out of this. I don't know if you heard that Michael Bertram he's now the chairman of the National Board of Entrepreneurship. And
so Michael Bertram, for those that don't know who are watching outside of Nashville, Michael Bertram, CEO of the Entrepreneur Center here in Nashville.
And if I remember correctly, the Music Accelerator is going to be directly tied to the CMAs, and there's a variety of really interesting things coming. What I'm really looking forward to seeing happen is how do we combine both the entrepreneurial components of business, which a lot of musicians just, I don't know if they don't know it or they ignore it in the drive for creativity. I'm interested to see how well their talent and the creative talent is being able to be merged through the traditional accelerator process. I don't know what you guys think about that, but...
Well, I think the accelerator is focusing on music business. So it's not the artist, it's music business. And the CMAs, like you said, are a main sponsor. And so that's really exciting because Nashville is such a great place for music business. We have all the labels here. We have such a big scene, and it has been here for so long. And something I just didn't realize, I guess, because I always assume that music is cutting edge, but that's not necessarily true. Like the way it's done, as I've learned.
Well, in context of, do a little rewind here, but you guys heard the whole Steve Jobs labels argument that happened before he launched iTunes?
Probably, but refresh us all.
The very long story short is he came to Nashville and New York and everywhere and tried to convince the heads of the labels to do basically a joint venture with him in context of iTunes. And they all said, screw you, we don't need you. And of course, fast forward back to today.
Completely get it, completely understand it, but having obviously knee deep in the music industry myself and knee deep in the business world in Nashville, I guess myself too. But there are a lot of old ways that people are stuck to in the music industry. And it's not just their thinking, it's because of contractual things like publishing, the way we share music, the way we sync music, all these things. I mean, sometimes families own catalogs that have been in the family for a period of time. Some of those rules have been in place for 35 years and are just starting to change now because the music industry has changed so much. But I just wanted to go through and say, yes, true. I'm going to read off my phone for those people at home, but the CMAs they sit above everything, and I guess they're kind of monitoring and making sure everything, it gives it credibility as well.
Sure.
But then the tiered sponsors that go down, Flow Thinkery, Mark Montgomery, obviously musician himself, got a couple of musical things going on over there, also sits on the board at the EC. The investors who are going to tip in, I think they're going to choose eight businesses when these applications go through. Applications are open now, and then everyone gets a chance. Not everyone gets it, but it's about 20 grand they're going to get when they come out for a piece of equity, which I think will be about 6% is what they take.
I think, for the record, they actually do get the 20% investment. Every company gets the 20 grand investment for 6 to 8%.
Okay, right.
And then, from there, you have the demo day.
That's kind of how Jumpstart worked too.
Exactly.
So and some of those investors are great people to be around. The creative CAA, which is the Creative Artist Agency, Universal Music, the Ryman's involved, Sporting Entertainment, Galanti Entertainment, which was Joe Galanti, head of Sony for some 40 years or whatever it was, Vector, Red Light Management, and Dev Digital, our wonderful friends. So all these people, just to be in a room with those people, if you're in the music industry, is a great place to start. So that's what I think about that part of it. But the other part I think of it, which is fantastic, I'm the same. I'm really interested to see what comes out of it.
Right.
The other interesting part is I know why all these people are around these new ideas is because no one knows what to do, right?
It's getting more difficult. I mean, the rise of indie music is starting to put a real, tangible financial hit on the traditional music industry. And I see this as being a really great way, especially since it's headquartered here in Nashville. We all know there's a new great artist getting off the bus literally every day here in Nashville. It's almost like a deal flow, potential deal flow recruiting process for the management companies and the labels and all that to find talented people that I know from a lot of conversations I've had with them is if I could have just the music business component education filled in with them, I would take a risk on this person because I feel confident that not only they have great talent, they can also maximize the return because they understand business as well. I see those kind of being some of the components on the deal flow mechanism and filtration.
Look, it's a great left and right brain issue. I mean, so there's always going to be the real creative artists that sit over here and then the real businessy people that sit over here. I think this is an opportunity. The music industry has forced people to become entrepreneurial in a sense. Yeah. But look, the biggest label in town, biggest label in the world, Big Machine Records, independent. Broken Bow, one of the other biggest country labels in town, independent. All started from one artist, Taylor on one side and then Jason Aldean on the other. So the Universals and people like that, I mean, they're so constrained by their corporate structures. I don't doubt for a second that people are free thinking and wanting the industry to change dramatically, but the structures of the environment, as we all know in the corporate world, is really difficult.
Well, something I find pretty interesting in I researched this a while back. I may have changed a little bit from when I looked at this, but in the United States, the music business in its entirety was like $9 billion, which $9 billion is a heck of a lot of money, but in context of healthcare, HCA is a $25 billion company by itself. And I think a lot of these moves that are being made on the Accelerator side, hopefully it works out well, and combining the establishment with the up and coming and the new cutting edge angles will hopefully enable some expansion of that, because I think because it's so entertaining, we get a lot of us operate from the perspective of, oh, there must be piles and piles of money to be made. And when I saw that number of $9 billion in its entirety, everybody combined, and that was all it was, that shocked me.
So I think what's interesting is that corporate accelerators are not new. So having the corporations involved and that kind of thing in this accelerator it's not a new thing, but it's an exciting thing for Nashville and for the music industry. But I really love seeing all these niche accelerators popping up. There's an ed tech accelerator in New York. There's a fintech accelerator out in London. Those are both sponsored by Techstars. So that's really exciting to see that.
There's the Auto Accelerator down in Spring Hill.
There's Auto Accelerator down in Spring Hill, which is where it used to be a Saturn plant. I'm not sure what it is now, but so there's around the world, industries are starting to see, software is in fact eating the world, like Mark Andreessen said a few years ago. We should probably figure out what that means to us, and I think that's a really exciting thing for Nashville to jump into, and the music industry, God love them, hopefully innovate some.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting one. I'm interested to see how it unfolds. And just to see what ideas come out. I mean, at least they're open to the concept and that they can recognize it. And the truth is, it should have been done a long time ago in Nashville. I mean, supporting the artists that come into this town. We all know, and most people think that this place is built on music, but it's not. It's built on healthcare. First and foremost, insurance used to be down the hill in downtown, and they stuck all the musicians up on Music Row on the hill. Now, if anyone's been to Nashville, all you people in Nashville now have noticed the demise of Music Row. I mean, I used to have a studio there. It doesn't exist anymore. It's actually apartments as we speak. And that was from 3 years ago to now. And you drive down there, I've got family in town and said, let's go and see Music Row, ashamed and embarrassed, and said, this is where this used to be and this is where this used to be. But the truth is, you don't need these giant buildings and these giant establishments anymore. Certainly the tradition is something we'd like to hang on to, but it'll be interesting to see, the thought makers of Nashville, but this is obviously national as well. They're pulling in people from everywhere.
It's global. I mean, they're trying to get applications from around the world for ways to innovate the business side of music. Like one example is the local company Calitech, who they've innovated ways to do booking, touring, and publishing.
And have hit their straps.
And absolutely, they have enormous clients. I mean, they're doing a fantastic job.
They have Jason Aldean.
Yeah, that's right.
We're talking about the labels. They've got Jason Aldean as a client. And
they have a lot, and they're signing more and more and more and more. So they're actually being held up as
they're signing clients on an international scale now.
Yeah,
they're actually being held up as an example at the Accelerator for this is what a successful music business business is in Nashville, and I think that's exciting. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Well, I certainly hope they don't
what they come out with.
Shut the door on some Nashville businesses, perhaps throwing their hat into the ring as well, and not just looking outside. But I think the interesting thing for me will be the people who they pick, and how many it's about actually doing what they can do now. Or looking to the future and seeing, the trend of moving away from radio. I mean, I spoke with Joe Galante not a month ago, and he said to me the radio is the only way to launch an artist now. And I don't agree with that, but this is Joe Galante, who sat at the helm of Sony for however long. Now, yes, you need to be on radio to be a superstar, but there's so much money to be made not being a superstar. I mean, people are still making a lot of money. And, to come into town...
There's artists turning down deals.
That's exactly right. Exactly. So you don't need the old ways anymore. And I think that's where kind of some of the old thinkers are trying to find new ways to move that into that business to make it successful. So
I think Caltech is an example. I mean, Dev Digital was a major player in helping them get off the ground. That's a real example of kind of the entrepreneurship concept. I'm really intrigued to see what happens on the Accelerator side of having these big companies that are already in the establishment. They have the resources and all the connections to launch these great ideas, and the customer base built in by default. It's almost a cross between a traditional accelerator and entrepreneurship. It's almost kind of bridging the gap between the two, I think. I hope anyway.
Yeah.
See that if it goes that route, then in theory, you have the validation of the idea from the people who are going to buy it anyway.
Well, I guarantee
customer base built in by default.
I guarantee we'll hear a lot about it. I guarantee we'll know probably someone who's involved in it. And yeah, I mean, I'm just really interested to see what happens. Either way, it's good for the entrepreneurs, it's good for the city, it's good for the EC. I'm glad someone's doing it. And let's just wait and see. Fingers crossed for everyone. But so what else?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. I think good luck to all the companies applying.
Yeah,
I know I advised
I
advised a company I work with, like, even if you don't get in, you need to apply, because now your company is going to be in front of all these big names in the music, the names in the music industry. Like that's never a bad thing.
It's never a bad thing. Yeah. All right, guys, well, we've so much enjoyed having you on Serious Startups once again. Don't forget to follow all of us on Twitter. Check out the Facebook page, Serious Startups, and also at Serious Startups. You can join our discussion with any questions or anything that you want to see on Serious Startups or have us talk about. We thank you for so many views. We're having a great time. And of course, anyone can sponsor this show as well, so just get in contact with us at Serious Startups or at Talkopolis. And we'll see you next time on Serious Startups.